Everybody, this is Alan with Daily Armor of God. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hope you're all doing well. This is my Finishing the Bible 1 Year project, and we are on day 83. Alright, 83. Today we'll be doing Judges 16, 17, and 18. And guys, we are finally on Samson. Yeah, we'll find out for ourselves what all happened. I mean, obviously, growing up, I heard stories about Samson and, hearing this and that, but here we're going to read it for ourselves every little bit. So let's get started. Judges 16:1. So basically, in the last couple chapters, I was a little bit confused, but basically, what happened was Samson got married, I guess, and then his wife betrayed him, and then his wife and her father died from the Philistines, and then after that he got mad, took revenge, and then hid in the cave, and then all the Israelites were like, "Don't rock the boat, bro. We're gonna take you and give you to the Philistines because we don't want any issues, any problems. We're fine with being under the yoke of the Philistines." Anyway, so they took him, and then I guess Samson somehow got free and took a jawbone of an ass and slaughtered 1,000 people. And then he was like on his deathbed, super thirsty. But then God made water come out of the ground, and he was revived. And now we're here. So he killed 1,000 men. 1,000. That is crazy to even think about. I mean, I know later on I've heard stories, David of killing tens of thousands. So that's impressive. But I mean, I think just saying 1,000, killing 1,000 is impressive. So tens of thousands is crazy. We're not there yet. We're not going to be there for a long time, I don't think, David. No, we're not going to be there for a long time. Okay, anyway, let's get to it. Judges 16:1. Then Samson went to Gaza, and saw there an harlot, and went in unto her. And it was told the Gazites, saying, Samson is come hither. And they compassed him in, and laid wait for him all night in the gate of the city, and were quiet all the night, saying, In the morning, when it is day, we shall kill him. And Samson lay till midnight, and arose at midnight, and took the doors of the gate of the city, and the 2 posts, and went away with them, bar and all, and put them upon his shoulders, and he carried them to the top of a hill that is before Hebron. And it came to pass afterward that he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. And the lords of the Philistines came up unto her, and said unto her, Entice him, and see wherein his great strength lieth, and by what means we may prevail against him, that we may bind him to afflict him. It will give thee every one of us 1,100 pieces of silver. And Delilah said to Samson, Tell me, I pray thee, wherein thy great strength lieth, and wherewith thou mightest be bound to afflict thee. Why would you tell her something? Anybody? And Samson said unto her, If they bind me with 7 green withs that were never dried, then shall I be weak, and as another man. Okay, that's weird. Then the lords of the Philistines brought up to her 7 green withs which had not been dried, and she bound him with them. Now there were men lying in wait, abiding with her in the chamber, and she said unto him, The Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he brake the withs as a thread of tow is broken when it touches the fire. So his strength was not known. Until I said unto Samson, Behold, thou hast mocked me, and told me lies. Now tell me, I pray thee, wherewith thou mightest be bound. Why would he even tell her? I don't care what she says. And he said to her, If they bind me fast with new ropes, that never were occupied, then shall I be weak, and as another man. Till I therefore took new ropes, and bound him therewith, and said to him, how does he know? How does he not know by now that she's tricking him? I don't understand. Okay, and they took new ropes, and bound him therewith, and said to him, The Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And there were liars in wait, abiding in the chamber, and he brake them from off his arms like a thread. Till I said to Samson, Hitherto thou hast mocked me, and told me lies. Tell me wherewith thou mightst be bound. And he said to her, If thou weavest the 7 locks of my head with the web. He fastened it with a pin and said unto him, The Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he awakened out of sleep and went away with the pin of the beam and with the web. And she said unto him, How canst thou say, I love thee, when thine heart is not with me? Thou hast mocked me these 3 times, and hast not told me wherein thy great strength lieth. Oh my word. And it came to pass when she pressed him daily with her words and urged him, so that his soul was vexed unto death. And he told her all his heart, and said unto her, There hath not come a razor upon mine head, for I have been a Nazarite unto Elohim from my mother's womb. If I be shaven, then my strength will go from me, and I shall become weak, and be like any other man. And when Delilah saw that he had told her all his heart, she sent and called the lords of the Philistines, saying, Come up this once, for he hath shewed me his heart. Then the lords of the Philistines came up unto her, and brought money in their hand, and she made him sleep upon her knees, and she called for a man, and she caused him to shave off the 7 locks of his head, and she began to afflict him, and his strength went from him. And she said, The Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he awoke out of sleep, and said, I will go out as other times before, and shake myself. And he wist not that Jehovah was departed from him. The Philistines took him and put out his eyes, and brought him down to Gaza, and bound him with fetters of brass, and he did grind in the prison house. Howbeit the hair of his head began to grow again after he was shaven. Then the lords of the Philistines gathered them together for to offer great sacrifice unto Dagon, their god, and to rejoice, for they said, Our God hath delivered Samson, our enemy, into our hand. And when the people saw him, they praised their God, and they said, Our God hath delivered into our hands our enemy, and the destroyer of our country, which slew many of us. And it came to pass, when their hearts were merry, that they said, Call for Samson, that he may make us a sport. They called for Samson out of the prison house, and he made them sport, and they set him between the pillars. And Samson said unto the lad that held him by the hand, Suffer me, that I may fill the pillars where upon the house standeth, that I may lean upon them. Now the house was full of men and women, and all the lords of the Philistines were there, and there were upon the roof about 3,000 men and women, and beheld while Samson made sport. And Samson called unto Jehovah, and said, O Jehovah, Elohim, remember me, I pray thee, and strengthen me, I pray thee, only this once, O Elohim, that I may be at once avenged of the Philistines from my 2 eyes. And Samson took hold of 2 middle pillars upon which the house stood, and on which it was borne up of one with his right hand, and the other with his left. And Samson said, Let me die with the Philistines. And he bowed himself with all his might. And the house fell upon the lords, and upon all the people that were therein. So the dead which he slew at his death were more than they which he slew in his life. Then his brethren and all his house of his father came down, and took him, and brought him up, and buried him between Zorah and Eshtaol, in the burying place of Manoah his father. And he judged Israel 20 years. Wow. So basically, guys, if he didn't, have relationship with that woman, she wouldn't have tricked him, because he had bad luck with women. Like, man, that was the 2nd time a woman tricked him. Like, his first time his wife betrayed him, and then now this chick, and she was a Philistine, I believe. So I mean, that was obviously sinning against God. So basically, yeah, he didn't do right by God in doing that. Told her the secret, and got in trouble for it. But then Jehovah let him have one more big bang, one more act of vengeance. But it's just a shame if you think about it, because if he would have followed, I mean, I have no right to judge, judging judges. I have no right to judge, but if he would have, stayed faithful, just think of how many more Philistines he could have, killed. He could have basically probably freed Israel if he would have. If he, number one, had the support of Israel, the people of Israel, they all came together, and number 2, if he would have stayed holy and kept, trying to free Israel from the Philistines. Anyway, I guess that's the end of Samson. Sad. Moving on. Judges 17:1, and there was a man of Mount Ephraim whose name was Micah. He said, let's see, I'm just curious. Not like it probably matters, but Ephraim, his name. There is no Micah. Huh, that's weird. Ephraim, whose name? There's no. Okay, there's no tool to say what Micah. Anyway, his name was Micah. He said to his mother, the 1,100 shekels of silver that were taken from thee, about thou which cursed it spake also in mine ears, behold, the silver is with me. I took it, and his mother said, Blessed be thou of Jehovah, my son. And when he had restored the 1,100 shekels of silver to his mother said, I had wholly dedicated the silver unto Jehovah from my hand for my son, to make a graven image and molten image. Now therefore I will restore unto thee. Yet he restored the money unto his mother, and his mother took 200 shekels of silver and gave them to the founder, who made thereof a graven image and molten image, and they were in the house of Micah. And the man Micah had a house of gods. And he made an ephod and a teraphim, and consecrated one of his sons, who became a priest. In those days there was no king at Israel, but every man did that which was right in his own eyes. And there was a young man out of Bethlehem, Judah, the family of Judah, who was a Levite, Levi, and he sojourned there. And the man departed out of the city of Bethlehem, Judah, to sojourn where he could find a place. And he came to Mount Ephraim, to the house of Micah, as he journeyed. And Micah said unto him, Whence comest thou? And he said unto him, I am a Levi of Bethlehem, Judah, and I go to sojourn where I may find a place. And Micah said unto him, Dwell with me, and be unto me a father and a priest, and I will give thee 10 shekels of silver by the year, and a suit of apparel and thy victuals. So the Levi went in. And the Levi was content to dwell with the man, and the young man was unto him as one of his sons. Micah consecrated the Levi, and the young man became his priest, and was in the house of Micah. Then Micah said, Now I know that Jehovah will do me good, seeing I have a Levi to my priest. Okay, that was weird. And short chapter. Let's keep going. Judges 18. In those days there was no king in Israel. In those days the tribe of the Danites sought to them an inheritance to dwell in, for that they all their inheritance had not fallen unto them among the tribes of Israel. The children of Dan sent their family 5 men from their coast, men of valor from Zorah and from Eshtaol, to spy out the land and to search it. And they said unto them, Go, search the land. Who, when they came to Mount Ephraim, to the house of Micah, they lodged there. Wait a second, just before we continue on. Is the Philistine still in the picture? So Samson died. I don't know how many years it's been in between Samson and Micah. I don't know. Excuse me, I had to take a drink there. Okay. When they were by the house of Micah, they knew the voice of the young man of the Levi. They turned thither, and they said to him, Who brought thee thither? And what makest thou in this place? And what hast thou here? And he said to them, Thus and thus dealeth Micah with me, and hath hired me, and I am his priest. And they said unto him, Ask counsel, we pray thee, of God, that we may know whether our way which we go shall be prosperous. And the priest said unto them, Go in peace, before Jehovah is in your way wherein ye go.
Strong's H 7965. Shalom.
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 Shalom. Huh. I thought that's what it meant, because when I saw it, go in peace, I'm like, well, I wonder if that means shalom. And it does mean shalom, but it's spelled differently. Shalom. Go in peace, before Jehovah is your way wherein ye go. Then the 5 men departed and came to Laish, and saw the people that were therein, and how they dwelt careless after the manner of the Zidonians, quiet and secure. There was no magistrate in the land that might put them to shame in anything, and they were far away from the Zidonians, and had no business with any man. And they came unto the brethren to Zorah and Eshtaol, And the brethren said unto them, What say ye? And they said, Arise, we may go up against them, for we have seen the land, and behold, it is very good. And are ye still? Be not slothful to go and enter to possess the land. When ye go, ye shall come unto a people, secure in a large land. For Elohim hath given it into your hands, a place where there is no want of anything that is in the earth. And there went from thence the family of the Danites out of Zorah, and went out Eshtaol, 600 men appointed with weapons of war. And they went up and pitched in Kirjath-jearim in Judah. Therefore they call the place Manehedan unto this day. Behold, it is behind Kirjath-jearim. And they passed thence unto Mount Ephraim, and came unto the house of Micah. Then answered the 5 men that went to spy out the country of Laish, and they said unto their brethren, Do ye know that there is in these houses an ephod, a teraphim, a graven image, and a molten image? Now therefore consider what ye have to do. They turned thitherward, and came to the house of the young man, the Levi, even unto the house of Micah, and saluted him. And the 600 men appointed with their weapons of war, which were the children of Dan, stood by the entering of the gate. The 5 men that went to spy out the land went up, and came in thither, and took the graven image, and the ephod, and the teraphim, and the molten image, and the priest stood in the entering of the gate with 600 men that were appointed with weapons of war. And these went into Micah's house, and fetched the carved image, the ephod, and the teraphim, and the molten image. And they said the priest unto them, What do ye? And they said unto him, Hold thy peace, lay thine hand upon thy mouth, and go with us, and be to us a father and a priest. It is better for thee to be a priest unto the house of one man, or that thou be a priest unto a tribe and a family in Israel. The priest's heart was glad, and he took the ephod and the teraphim, the graven image, and went into the midst of the people. So they turned apart, and put the little ones and the cattle and the carriage before them. And when they were a good way from the house of Micah, the men who were in the house near to Micah's house were gathered together, and overtook the children of Dan. They cried unto the children of Dan, and they turned their face and said unto Micah, What aileth thee that thou comest with such a company? And he said, Ye have taken away my gods which I made, and the priest, and are gone away. And what have I more? And what is this that ye say unto me, What aileth thee? The children of Dan said unto him, Let not thy voice be heard among us, lest angry fellows run upon thee, and thou lose thy life with the lives of thy household. And the children of Dan went their way. And when Micah saw that they were too strong for him, he turned and went back unto his house. And they took the things which Micah had made, and the priest which he had, and came unto Laish, unto a people that were at quiet and secure, and they smote them with the edge of the sword, and burnt the city with fire. Wow. So Israelites killed other Israelites? Is that what's going on here? Wow. And there was no deliverer, because it was far from Zidon, and they had no business with any man, and it was in the valley that lieth by Beth-Rehob, and they built a city and dwelt therein, and they called the name of that city Dan, after the name of Dan their father, who was born unto Israel. Howbeit the name of the city was Laish at the first. Wow, so basically they killed a whole city. Israelites killed other Israelites for a city, and there was no justice done, because they were out in the country, is my understanding. The children of Dan set up a graven image, and Jonathan the son of Gershom the son of Manasseh and his sons were priests to the tribe of Dan until the day of captivity of the land. And they set them up Micah's graven image, which he made all the time that the house of Elohim was in Shiloh. I am so confused. But anyway, I think tomorrow is the end of Judges. I'm just going to get this up ready for tomorrow, but I think 21 is the last. Yep. So tomorrow, guys, is the last day of Judges. It's crazy. So here's a daily promise for today. Incline your ear and come unto me, hear, and your soul shall live, and I will make you an everlasting covenant with you, even the sure mercies of David. Isaiah 55:3. And here's the reflection, and I quote, Everlasting is the covenant between God and his people. Evermore shall Christ rule upon the throne of David. His victory is won. His race is finished. Nevermore shall God's people look at the doom of history, wondering, where is this looked for salvation? He has come. He has won. And we, his people, have seen him. End quote. Alright, guys. That's going to do it for today. I'm just going to pray. Dear Jehovah, our Elohim, thank you so much for everything you've done for us. Thank you for today. Thank you for every breath we take. Help us to not take it for granted. I thank you that we're able to read your word. I pray that you give us discernment for your truths. Please draw closer to us as we draw closer to you. And again, I thank you for everything you've done for us and everything you will do for us. In your precious holy name, our Jehovah, our Elohim. Amen and amen. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Hope you have a good evening, morning, night, wherever you're at. And as always, TTFN, ta-ta for now. Take care, God bless, put God first in everything you do. Shalom.